And we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're just gonna wait for a few minutes for some people to pop on. Welcome. If you're watching the replay, welcome. This video is all about the spring equinox and Ostara. Is that how you say it, Sunnie?
Ostara, yeah. That's not
Ostara.
how you would pronounce it. Ostara, Ostara, yeah.
Yeah. My name is Sunnie Sink, and this is Sunnie Shea King, and we're going to be here with you celebrating spring. I'm just going to check on all the tech right now. Let's give it just a second. Hi, Chris. How's it going? So we do have some people popping on now, which is great. So I think first off, we really did want to pull an oracle card kind of for this spring event, for this sort of energy, something to kind of call in and focus on for today. Calcifer, my cat, wants to hang out with us for the spring event. So welcome to Calcifer too. He may be all over the place. Okay, guys, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and pull a card, and then after we read the cards, we'll start with introductions. We're going to talk about cycles. We're going to talk about spring. We're even going to talk a little bit about the menstrual cycle here. We're going to talk about Ostara and the meaning behind it. Sunnie is going to lead us through a very beautiful yoga routine. It's going to be pretty easy, but you might want to have comfy clothes. So if you're watching the replay and you're not wearing comfy clothes, feel free to pause it, put on some comfy clothes and come back. If you're here with us right now, I'm so sorry, guys. If you're here with us right now, you might want to grab some comfy clothes. Sorry, I usually have this off and I obviously forgot today. Okay, so welcome everybody. Okay, let's pull a card first and foremost. This is the Rose Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. This Oracle deck was just released and it is absolutely gorgeous. So let's see what we got. We got Whispers of the Mother Earth. So let me show you that picture. I think it's absolutely beautiful for spring. It says creativity, ideas, inspiration, artist, writer, and channel. And to me, I really feel like this is all about channeling from Mother Earth, right? Connecting with Mother Earth, connecting with nature. And this is definitely something that we're going to be doing today. Sunnie, did you want to kind of give your interpretation of this card?
I love it because spring is the time of new beginnings. It's a time of rebirth, as we all know. And that rebirth, how we find it, comes in our cycles with Mother Nature, with our bodies, and like all around us. And for those living still in snow blanketed ground, it will come soon for you too. I'm in California, so we started a little bit early. But yeah, so I feel that that's everything. And that is also spring is the time for creativity and playfulness and to be outside and stuff. So I think it is actually really perfect. And my roses are starting to grow new buds. So I saw the rose on there. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. One of my goals for spring, within the next couple of days before spring comes, is to buy like one of those little rose bushes. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're like indoor rose bushes. And this deck has been inspiring me so much that I'd really like to have that. I don't know if they have them in the stores right now, but I'm hoping they do.
Trader Joe's.
Okay. Okay, let's see who else here. Hi, Sid. Hi, Chris. Welcome, guys. Okay, so Sunnie, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of some of your background and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so welcome to my personal yoga space. It's also called Sunny's Bedroom. So I am a ERYT, experienced yoga teacher. I'm a 500 level, and I've taught anywhere from a hot power vinyasa to like a rewilding and sacred embodiment to gentle flow and nourishing yoga for the body. And I lean more towards that and combining it with somatic experience ever since I was diagnosed with MS about 18 months ago. Anyway, I also have an undergrad in women's studies, and I have a master's in integrative health. And I went through training, and I'm also a wise woman transformation facilitator of ancient rituals and ceremonies. And I'm a
And
mom and a grandma.
I love that. And I think one of the things that we have really been able to connect on is this love of and connection with cycles,
Mhm.
right? Like really celebrating and honoring all of the cycles in life. And that's why it felt really good to have you on today with us, because that's what spring is all about. Spring is all about honoring a brand new cycle and new beginnings. And like you said, the rebirth and so on and so forth. And so I thought, a little introduction about me. My name is Sunnie. I'm your cosmic guide. I help people um, really tune into the sun, moon, and stars for personal growth, spiritual growth. And I just opened a Cosmic Expansion membership. I'm really excited to get started with it. It actually starts for Aries season, which is the start of spring. So it's so perfect. Um, so we're so glad to have you here. Let's start off just by talking about cycles, Sunnie. So through all of your work doing cycle work, what have you found are the benefits of tuning into and understanding cycles better?
Well, it's really interesting because our menstrual cycles, whether you are still in your blood time or you have stopped bleeding, there's always that space that you can create with the moon. And so yes, our cycles sync up with new moon um, and full moon for either blood time or ovulation. However, it also syncs up with the cycles that the earth experiences. So Mother Nature. So this is her belly. This is her womb, our the earth that we live on. And during spring, as we know, we just is coming out of winter, and winter is known as the time is synced with the time that you would have you would menstruate. So your blood time, so however long that is, 3 to 7 days on the average. So spring is the next phase, like we are entering now. And spring is also the next phase. It's the follicular phase of our womb. And that's the time where everything has been shed and our uterus is waking up. And I put on there, it's like it's time to spring clean, fresh coat of paint, get everything all nice and spruced up, the flower beds all ready, and the earth kind of toiled so you can plant your seeds and have fun in the sun, which fun in the sun is your summer phase, and that's your ovulation, and that's when you would possibly be pregnant or get pregnant. So, so that's what we're at now. So it's just if you look at what's going around you in the world, as far as nature, then you can correlate that with the time and phases of your monthly cycle. So you could break it down. We have 4 cycles in Mother Nature, and we have 4 cycles in our womb. So welcome, spring.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like we haven't really talked about that a whole lot here in the group, the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle. I have been working with the 4 phases of my menstrual cycle and helping women work with the 4 phases of theirs for, it feels like forever. It's been around 4 years now, probably. And so kind of just to reiterate what Sunnie just talked about is each season that we have, uh, winter, spring, summer, fall, corresponds with a part of our own menstrual cycle. So we literally have these seasons within us hormonally. We have these seasons in our 4 seasons. We have these same seasons in the moon phases, and these all over, right? So there's so many, even life phases, right?
Mhm.
So we have the crone and the maiden and the mother and the wild woman are those 4 same seasons, and they're seasons of our life, right? So you can find these cycles anywhere. And I think what's really lovely about tuning into cycles is we realize that everything's always changing. Because as humans, we can get really scared about changes that are coming up in our lives, right? We can fight it sometimes. We can, get really worried and get really scared. And so I think that tuning into cycles, tuning into these phases within our body or within the earth or within the moons, all of them help us to recognize everything is ebbing and flowing all the time. So we give ourselves permission to take breaks when we're in that luteal phase or in that menstrual phase of our own cycle, or when we're in the the waning phase, of our cycle. And we allow ourselves to really expand with energy during that follicular phase or the spring phase, right? So really just kind of tuning in and giving ourselves permission to be where we are, giving ourselves permission to feel into the energy no matter what. I think that cycles are just beautiful.
Mhm. Yes, it is honoring and taking your place. And women are a special creature. Yes, we're emotional and stuff, but we are a very special creature. And to be able to finally understand, learn, and understand, and then honor that. And you can set boundaries, and they don't have to be harsh boundaries. Just like, hey, when it's during my winter, my blood phase, I'm going to go in. I want to make soup. I don't care if it's 110 out. I want to, nourish myself just like you do in the winter time. And then spring, it's like, oh, flirty. And then summer's like, oh, sexy. And then autumn, which is your luteal phase, is that the turning of times. And it's just, it's my favorite. It's when I get bloated after my period. So I get flatter tummy and I'm just like really ooey gooey and just, ah. And then I go inward and I journal during my winter phase. And all of my girls, I've taught them, where are you at today? Oh God, Mom, I'm in my winter. And I'm like,
Right. So Brooke just asked a really great question, and that's, can you still feel the effects even if you don't have a cycle anymore? And yes, so there's a couple different reasons why someone wouldn't have a cycle, Um, so one of those reasons could be postmenopause. And so in that case, I really encouraged women to tune into the moon. This is something that we're doing like within this community anyway, but I really encourage them to tune into the moon for those phases, right? Those same phases. But there's other reasons why someone may not have a cycle, and that could be, so for example, if maybe somebody had a hysterectomy, but they still have their ovaries, they are still going to have the same hormonal fluctuations even without the period. So they're going to have those 4 phases physically within them, within their hormones anyway. Now, if they have no ovaries or they've gone through menopause, it's definitely, I advise at least to look to the moon. How about you, Sunny?
yes. And that is where you'll find what they call in crone world or crone magic. And it's this phase between when you're no longer a mother and you're not at that, like, hey, I'm not a mom anymore, my kids have grown, or I'm 50, almost 53, and but I'm not yet crone. I'm not yet that wise woman. I'm still a little bit wild. I'm a enchantress, you know and and so in crone they sync around the moon, and so you can find out like that, or you could just kind of look back when you were having a period and see where you did this, and kind of try to match it up, and then just put it on your calendar and honor it. That way you don't think, where am I? And stuff. And another reason that some women and young girls are not menstruating is because, for example, um, either one of my daughters has an IUD, and that has a hormonal release in her IUD, and she hasn't had a period for almost 4 years. Also, before that, or during that time, she was also in the military, and that rigorous physical work that soldiers do in females, or even and athletes, will cut down their menstruation. So they might have one or twice a year, or none at all. So it's always good to at least try to find some kind of where you're feeling, jot it down, journal about it, and then go back and find your pattern.
Yeah, and I feel like the more and more I've talked to women who don't have, or women and menstruators who no longer menstruate or who don't have a period anymore, the more I talk to them, and what I find out is they love tuning into the moon cycles because it helps them feel like they're on that cycle still. They're used to this predictable cycle that they've had throughout their lives, and it feels really good and grounding to be able to really connect with the moon cycles, for that reason, to really connect in with that cycle again, and not feel quite as scattered. Sometimes they may be feeling scattered, so that could be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah,
So,
perfect. So we talked about the whole cycle a lot, but let's just quickly go over the spring and the menstrual cycle as well. And let's also, especially for people who don't have cycles, let's talk about how that relates to the moon as well. You want to start us off, Sunny, or you want me to?
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So the spring is in the menstrual cycle, which is the follicular phase. So we have just stopped the bleeding phase, and we haven't quite gotten to the ovulation phase. So everything is building. I'm so sorry, guys. My cats have been doing this a lot lately. So anyway, um, we're building up to that ovulation, to that summertime, right? And so we may feel like going out more, we may feel like socializing more, we may feel like um spring cleaning, we may feel like a little more energetic, right? Doing things around the house and things like that. One of the things that I really like to talk about, especially with the menstrual cycle, is making sure we don't like rush into it. A lot of times we can be so ready. We're like, I've been in this winter phase, I've been hibernating, and I'm like ready to get out and do things. And so the caution here is not to just like jump out and do it, because you may make yourself too tired too fast. So it's kind of about like putting your foot in and sneaking out a little bit and kind of tiptoeing out into that spring. And in terms of the moon cycle, this is as the moon is waning. So this is actually where we're at right now. We're about to hit the full moon in a couple of days. So we're at the end of the spring phase when it comes to the moon phases. But yeah, the spring is as the moon is growing in the sky, and we're bringing things on, and we're doing all the things, and we're checking off the to-do lists, right?
Mhm.
Anything you'd like to add, Sunny?
Well, it's also the time. So for me, it's like, you know how the earth opens up after winter? It kind of like does a big o yawn, and that's your spring. It's kind of like, and taking deep breaths, and uh, doing things to get ready for your summer. So, because in summer it is hot and it is sweaty, and if you want to correlate the heat to the body in your summer, that in the summertime is when you are um, vampy and sexy and sensual, because all your pheromones are being up and out, right? And so it that is when you ovulate, and so that's just a natural part, and stuff, and that's what attracts your mate or a potential mate or whatever. So in spring, it's kind of like that maiden time, And that is, if you remember back in, if you're, well, you know, under the age of, I don't know, 25 yet, not yet a mother, but remembering back when you were a little girl and going out and playing and being flirty with the flowers and having just fun, skipping, you know, dancing, twirling. Um, to me, that is just emulates that spring in all of us. And so, if you can remember just doing different things. So, I take the springtime sometimes to, that's when I do my hair. Or I, you know, revamp my bath and body or some makeup. You know, it's all that prep time. It's that fun prep time and things like that. I like springtime. I like going barefooted. It's not too hot yet to burn my feet. I like to hula hoop, go roller skating, finger paint. You can finger paint outside with,
Love that. Yeah,
yeah,
it feels like lightness and fun, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just bat your eyes, you know.
Yes.
And smell the dandelions and make wishes and, you know, blow them out into the air and let them fly away and stuff. So um, there's a couple things. So I was wondering, for all of you watching, when you were a little girl, and what was your favorite flower? So did it have, what kind of petals did it have? Kind of leaves or stem or thorns? Were they little tiny ones or big thick ones that when they pricked made your finger bleed? And I mean, what was the scent? You know, is there any thing that brings you back? Was it a field? Was it a grandma's garden? Was it your front lawn? Was it a neighbor's that on your way to school? You know. And so, what was your fondest memory of these flowers that were starting to bud on the trees, the bushes coming up through the grass, cracks in the dirt or the sidewalk, and things like that? So I just want you to kind of, maybe if you close your eyes and remember, and take you back to when you were a little girl and what your fondest memory of flowers were. And for me, um, they were dandelions. And so I used to live in the field when I was a little girl, a huge oak field. I used to live in a commune. Anyway, so I remember taking, we didn't have daisies, but I had tons of dandelions. And so I learned how to make like a daisy chain or dandelion that wrapped around. I was like 3. And then they would come and I would make wishes. And so that's my most fondest flower, you know.
We have some answers coming through. So Maria says tulips. Sid says sunflowers. Heather loved tiger lilies. Chris said Dutchman britches.
What are those?
I'm not sure what they are, but then Chris said bleeding hearts, and that's mine too, Chris. My mom always had these bleeding hearts, and I just loved them when I was a kid. I still do, honestly. Dandelions and honeysuckles,
Mm-hmm.
buttercups. Camping when I was little, I would search for them and press them on my hand to get the butter pollen on. I love that, Janae. I love blowing the dandelions and making wishes. Me too, Heather. All the time. Making dolls out of hollyhock. We used to make soups out of all sorts of like little pea pods and any flowers and any foliage we could find. I remember when I was a kid, we'd like make mud soups out of them and stuff. Yes, I don't know what that is, Sarah, but crocuses, maybe?
Crocuses.
Crocuses. Hi, Sarah. Hi, everybody who popped on. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, and it's amazing that a lot of these flowers you really have to kind of know. But some of these flowers are very edible, as is are their roots. And roses, if you don't spray anything on them, are edible. Violets, natural violets are edible. Dandelions are edible. There's a lot of flowers and their roots that are edible. If you don't know, please check ahead of time. But they're really nice, and you can make a tea out of them, garnish, and they're not going to hurt you. They're just really pretty and stuff. So yeah, and they're so as far as other type of things. Is there anything that pops in if you think of maiden and little girl and springtime? Is there anything other than a flower that brings back a fond memory? You know, was it riding your bike after this, it got warm enough to put on a jacket and go for a ride where you're not going to slip on the ice? Is it, what was that little girl in you? If you could be that little girl again, what would you do?
I really liked hopscotch and tetherball.
I broke my hand on tetherball, but I did like it.
Yeah.
I did like it. Yeah.
Chris says kites. I used to love flying kites, Chris. Animal clouds. Oh, looking up at the clouds. I used to ride my bike and swing on my swing for hours, hiking.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I loved it. I loved spring. I love picking flowers. I still do. You know what I used to do? I and my cousin, who's a couple weeks older than me, we would go out fairy hunting. I mean, and I know that sounds bad. We wouldn't like try to hunt them so we could kill them. I mean, fairy adventuring. So
Fairy spotting.
fairy spotting, like look and like really get down and look and see if we could see them and wait, and see if we could find an opening in like a tree would look like a door, or we would be out there for hours. I mean, I did this all the way up until, I don't know, junior high, if not more.
I love that. I think that that's really cool. I used to plant a fairy garden with my mom every year. That was probably closer to summertime than springtime because Wyoming springtime's still pretty cold.
Yeah.
But we have a lot more coming in too. So Sarah said that the first flower peeking through was the crocus. I'm sorry, I forgot how to pronounce it again. Chris said the tire swing, sleeping in my bathing suit to wake up and go swimming, says Janae, as early as possible. That's awesome, Janae. Sid says swimming and running around in the grass, stargazing, says Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
There's some more tire swings, building forts in the woods. Heather said she would hunt for rocks and she used to polish them. That's cool, Heather. Brooke was swinging on the vines over the creek in the woods.
I love it.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing, guys.
And if you can, why don't you go try getting on your tire swing or something, or a park or something, and swing and build a fort, even if it's in your living room or something. So those are some wonderful, beautiful ideas that we can all try to find our spring, our maiden, our childlike feel of light and airy where nothing weighs on us, you know. And I used to make decisions about homework on the swing sets. Do I do homework or do I not? So, yeah. And so I think there's a lot of things that we can do it for spring. Outside of that playfulness, there's I have a couple here. Is that one of the things that we can do to tap into springtime and playfulness and a time of reaching out towards others is creating a mandala or spirals. And what you do is you go out and you find flowers, leaves, stones, sticks, and you make a design, so a spiral. or a mandala, which is just basically an equal picture. You're just arranging it so it looks like a nice, pretty picture or pattern, and leave it on the sidewalk for other people to admire as they walk by. And eventually people step on it and the wind will take it away, and that is perfectly fine. If you want to remember, because you're like, oh wow, look what I did, take a picture, you know, and then you can and share it. Another thing that you can do is if you have access to flowers or anything like that, even if they're just the dandelions growing in your yard, you know, you can leave a flower offering on your porch every morning as the sun rises. Another thing, this is what I see this all over town sometimes, is that collect fallen sticks or rocks, right? And then paint them, write a lovely message, words, or quote on them. Gather them up, put them in your bag, and as you go through town or your neighborhood, or even just if in your home for your family to find, place them in these special places, and a family member, a community member, someone in your neighborhood will eventually come across them and find them. And it is, I think, such a inspirational way to uplift those around you, even if you do not know them. And it puts a smile on their face. And some people will take them, and some people will leave them, and some people will replace them, and then they'll do that, right? And stuff. So I think that those are some really nice things to do to honor spring. And it's also the time of Ostara, which is a maiden goddess from ancient times, and that's kind of what they would do back then to honor Ostara. They would do these, you know, flower offerings and greetings, and back then, if they didn't have words or couldn't read back in the day, they'd write symbols. No, you don't even have to write a word. You could just put a smiley face. And so I was wondering, has anybody ever heard of Ostara or the Festival of Ostara, or the celebration of Ostara?
Perfect. So let's go ahead and ask, have you guys heard of Ostara, the celebration? I'm going to just kind of read off some of these to Sunnie that have come in while she was talking. Uh, there were definitely a couple of people who talked about like how simple times were, you know, when they were reminiscing about being young, sitting outside and reading my books every night. Janae says that she has created the mandala on the ground, I think is when she said that she did it, and she still has a picture. Please share it in this Facebook group, Janae. I would love to see it. Heather loves the ideas. She says she and her kids paint stones and hide them, and others collect them and share them in a Facebook group. And that they've done that for years. Brooke says she's meaning to do that at the hospital that she works. Sarah says she's heard of Ostara, but everybody else is saying no. Ostara is spelled Ostara. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? You guys want to hear about it, right?
Okay, so back in the day, I call it ancient times or just back in the day, when there were a lot of goddesses. And the reason that there were, just so we don't get too religious, was because they felt that there was a feminine and a masculine attached to all different kinds of things. And of course, then springtime, you would have a maiden, right? That's that flirty, young, getting ready. And Ostara was a maiden goddess, and she would carry around a basket. This is how she was depicted. She would carry around a basket of eggs. So they're your hard-boiled eggs. And of course, and she'd be seen with tons of little bunnies. Now, where does Ostara, so that might sound familiar, right? So where does Ostara come from? Or how do we know her today? right? So Ostara is comes from Oster, Eostre, and we know it today as the name of. Anybody want to take a guess?
Said it, but I was muted, so none of you heard it.
Oh,
But we'll let them guess.
okay. Okay, so Ostara used to be the name of Eostre, and it is
It
now.
says Easter.
Yes.
Sarah too. There we go. They're rolling in.
Easter. That is how the name Easter came to be. It's how language develops and evolves and revolves around certain things, right? So, Easter, goddess of spring and light, the maiden archetype, the celebration and reverence of the feminine. So, there are two Christian holidays that were built upon this festival and celebration of spring, light, and the earth's rebirth. One is Easter, which is the celebration of Jesus' resurrection and rebirth. And then on March 25th, it's called Lady Day. And I don't know if a lot of people in America know of Lady Day, um, but it is the day that the Archangel Gabriel came down to the Maiden Mary, right? And in esoteric Christians believe, also called Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, angel of the moon. And they believe that Gabriel is known for the watery realms of intuition, imagination, and female fertilization. So, this is a celebration of Earth's fertility and the dawn of life. This celebration is a festival of balance. So, as we start to have equal hours of day and night, right? Which we're all probably excited about. You know, some people wake up and go to work and it's dark, and they come home when it's dark, right? Um, and then, um, and then from this point, the light will become greater than the dark. And this too is the time that we are mirroring our own inner cycles and rhythms. And so, as you think of this time and you think of yourself, um, we are not meant to blossom all year round. So, sometimes when you're feeling down and low, that's okay. We're not always supposed to be blooming. We need to go inside, refertilize, and then find our way back up into this bloom, right? So, does anybody have any questions yet, or you want to keep going and I'll tell you about the symbolism of bunnies and eggs?
Please feel free to put any questions in the chat. Share anything that's coming up for you guys around that. I think it's very beautiful, and what another great reminder that we're not supposed to bloom all the time, right? Tuning into those cycles of our lives and making it okay to not always be blooming. Taking our cues from the trees and knowing that we have times to shed and times to bloom and times to sleep, right?
That was so beautiful, right? You women, I just love being a girl.
I do too.
So, okay, so let's talk about bunnies. So, bunnies were sacred in the ancient ways during the times before Christianity. Okay, so new bunnies hopping all around were a symbol of birth and growth. So, you knew that spring was coming. You would see all these little bunnies, and because they, rabbits multiply quickly, they were plentiful. So, and not only that, so the gestation of pregnancy for the bunny is very short, and their growth spurt is very quick. And so there would be a lot of bunnies, and they would trap them and eat them on the Feast of Ostara. Now, that's not, oh, poor bunnies, but you have to think back about then that it was kind of an offering, like as like the earth was offering a feast for them. I mean, they've just gotten through winter. Now here's all these rabbits. And so that's why you see the bunnies. And eggs too signified new babies. And how do you think that eggs, so we use chicken eggs, right? Um, um, Symbolizes. Anybody have an idea of what hard-boiled eggs or in a basket symbolize, or the egg hunt? Anybody?
We haven't gotten anything come through yet,
Okay.
but Brooke did say bunnies are very fertile. Yeah.
Right? I know. So you can see, right? They're all cute and stuff and fuzzy, and then they grow up to be a rabbit, and then, they're dry. Okay, so the egg. Why is the egg? So today we have bunnies, and we still eat bunnies, but they're marshmallows, right? Okay. Um, and eggs, we go on an egg hunt. Usually they're hard-boiled chicken eggs, right? And the egg celebrates birth, right? The laying of eggs, but the egg hunt is the symbolism of the sperm finding the egg, right? So when we go on egg hunts, we're celebrating sperm finding egg.
I love it.
Yeah, right. I know. So anyway, so now we do the egg hunts and stuff, and all symbolism back then was very strong and very important in history. And this is anthropologically speaking, because written word and reading weren't for everyone. And so symbolism was a way to tell stories and spread the ideas, right? And so it was a strong and sacred talisman. As it remains true in our societies and cultural celebrations today, as you see on Easter Sunday, right? So springtime is a really great time of year to celebrate your own sacred and divine feminine from within. And if it's been covered and down and you can't find it, this is a good time to rediscover, to unearth all that femininity and go for it. Just go with it. Go with the flow. Don't try to make it happen. Just stretch and let it out. Okay. So that is the celebration of Ostara, of Easter, and how we came to be. Now, why do we celebrate Easter coming from what some would be considered these days ancient times, but pagan rituals? Is because back then, when Christianity and other religions were going out to the masses, they tried with the Crusades. I mean, I'll just talk about, and there's different crusades from different religions. So, but if they could not beat them, so convert everybody, they had to join them. That old saying, right? So they would take the time that they already had celebration, and they would take the symbolism and, and use that to help segue into a organized religion. So that is just kind of how we came to be and how we still celebrate symbolism, and I guess some would call it pagan or ancient ways, and things like that. Another thing that used to be said as we converted about eating the bunnies was that it had to do with witchcraft. So that's why they stopped trapping bunnies, because they thought it was a symbol of a witch eating a baby. So that's how you got how witches eat babies. That's one of the ways, not all the ways, which is untrue, right? So it's just hearsay, but that is kind of how we came to have Easter and why it's in the spring and so on and so on. So,
I love like being able to kind of put that history together and kind of see the richness of how this has been celebrated in this way for so long, and what those little tiny pieces used to mean to us then, and what we're still in some ways celebrating now. I feel like as a people, we tend to be less connected to nature now than we were back then. But I think that we can choose to live life a different way. We can choose to be connected to the sun, moon, stars. We can choose to be connected to the earth, right? We can choose to really tune into these seasons and celebrate them and feel them. So I really love that. Thank you so much, Sunny.
Yeah,
Would you like to go ahead and take us through the yoga sequences now?
and I just want to say, if you follow an organized religion and you practice an Easter egg hunt, there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not saying one thing or the other. You take what you need to fulfill yourself. Right? So I'm sitting on a bolster because I have one, or you could roll up a blanket or take a small pillow from your couch or from your bed and put it underneath your sit bones. That way you elevate your hips up here, and then your knees, I don't know if we can see, right? Then your knees are able to better fall downward onto your mat, right? So then you can have this nice opening. So what we're really going to do, I'm going to do some nice stretching of the heart space and of the hips. And why? Well, because we're waking up. Why the heart space is? Well, because it's the heart and it's where our breasts are, right? And our hips are this whole entire pelvic bowl, right, is called what? Your womb space. I call it your chalice, your cosmic, and it's the chalice, so the waters of the womb space, right? So we want to wake all this up so when summertime comes, it is ready to receive, if that's your plan, right? Or just to have fun. So we all have fun. So get your bot. See, so my sit bones and stuff are here. So I'm going to push this back a little bit, right? And I'm going to allow my feet to come down. If this is too uncomfortable, you could sit like this, crisscross applesauce, whatever's comfortable for you. This is what's comfortable for me, right? So here I am, and I just want us to take in and open our chest. So open up our broad space right here. So go ahead and pull the shoulder blades together, and I just tell it like it is. Your boobs, your nipples are right here. Okay, so let them come out as you pull your shoulder blades together. I usually call them your angel wings. Is that what they look like? And all the way down your spine. Roll the shoulders back so you're not wearing your shoulders as earrings. And take your hands all the way up. So it's kind of hard here. Take your hands all the way up and let the fingertips touch above the head, kind of give a slight back bend. And as you exhale, bring them down into like this goddess pose, which looks like a cactus. And we're going to turn to the left. Now keep those shoulder blades coming together. We're going to inhale all the way up, slight back bend, rolling those shoulders. And we're going to come down again into goddess arms. And turn to the right. We're going to do this 3 more times. Inhale up, slight back bend, and exhale. Now you can exhale in through the nose. Inhale through the nose. You can choose to exhale through the nose, or I like to make a sound out of my mouth. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, center. Exhale back to the right. It's our last one. Inhale up and exhale down to the left goddess arms. Inhale up, slight back bend, come down to goddess, and then wrap it around so it looks like you're giving yourself a hug and your fingers are going towards your scapula, right? And you could pull in the belly and take the chin down towards the chest. Open up goddess. And usually when you see this, this is goddess arms, but when we're doing this, sometimes people call it the heart of fire, right? And close down. So really stretching out the back. Inhale, heart of fire. Exhale. Round. And then just allow to slowly come up to like a T. And you'll see this one. We're going to inhale. As we exhale, we're going to put our right hand down. So this is my right hand, and I'm not sure exactly how you can see it. So either I might be mirroring you, but if not, right hand, okay? Reach up, roll the shoulders down so they're not earrings, and then let's just tip over, opening up that side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our hand, if this is comfortable for you, place it on the back, and then open up our heart space up to the sky. Bring it back to center. Inhale. And inhale all the way up. The left hand comes down, right? Roll the shoulders back. And then over. Make a nice stretch. Take the hand to the back. If this is comfortable, sometimes it's comfortable on one side and not the other. Opening up this heart space, so we're going to twist. And so we're thinking of, when you do this, it's at your bra strap, okay? So that's where you're finding this nice rotation is in your thoracic, right? Back to regular, stretch, and come up. One more time on each side. Down, over. So if you can go a little bit deeper to the back of the head, at the bra strap, trying to have the nipples look towards the sky. Come back. Inhale, exhale, down, over, back to the head, looking up. Smile, and back, and up, and bringing it all the way down to the center. Now, for opening up, this is great, and you could do it every morning, even before you get out of bed, and sometimes even like when you had a long day before you settle into sleep. This is really good. Okay, so we're going to just do Baddha Konasana, which is called bound angle, or we also know it as butterfly, right? So butterfly is perfect for this time of season. It's perfect year round. And how I like to do this is take my bottom off right? And then I take the soles of my feet. I've been walking in my garden, see? They're dirty. Anyway, take the soles of the feet and you put them together. Now, you want to take the heels towards here. Now, sometimes it doesn't feel good that way. You want to take them out so you have more of a diamond shaped. And if it feels good and your knees aren't all the way up here like this, what you do to, instead of trying to pull the heels to the yoni, which is your womb space, it's Sanskrit for sacred passage. So I say everything, I call this the yoni. Inside and outside, yoni. Okay, as you take one hand in the front, one in the back, and you scoot the yoni, perineum, all the way to the heels. All right, then you can bound them. This is why it's called bound angle. Right? It's like this. But you can hold on, you could take the piece, you could open your feet like a book. However, and we're just going to sit here and we're going to rock. Right? So we're just going to rock back and forth. And maybe you could find yourself balancing on one sippa and the other. And the other. Inhale as you come. And see if you could hold it and exhale. Right? Can you hold it now? Right? See if we can rock it. So you're rocking, right? There you go. And let's go the other way. Rocking. So it feels like you're going on all like 4 parts of your bottom. And then back and forth, and let's kind of bring it in, softer, 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 Inhale, take your hands and make a chevron. If you're comfortable, you make a chevron, fingers point down, and you place the parts of the thumb, this is where my belly button is, right here, and the fingers point down towards the yoni. Inhale, roll the shoulders back. Inhale, open the throat, open the heart, and exhale, just bring it back down to center. One more time. As this is your last time, coming over as far as you can. If this is how far you go, when you lean your belly towards the floor, your chest towards your feet, then this is far. If you go more, all the way down, then that's fine. Do whatever's comfortable with your hands, whether it's grabbing your feet, holding your shins, ankles, right? We're only going to be here for 30 seconds, right? So find a breath, and then when you're in this pose, because your stomach is constricted, just send your breath to the back of the heart or your back space, and you'll be able to feel the back intercostal muscles of your rib cage expand. All right. There you go. You could feel the opening of the inner thighs, the groin, the yoni, your perineum. You could feel this. All right. The last 10 seconds, I'm going to have you inhale here in this position wherever you're at, and then I'm going to have you pull in and do a Kegel. Okay. So inhale, pull in, hold it, and I'll count 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Keep holding. 5, 4. Oh, we're almost there. 2, 1. Release. Right. And then from here, if this is too much, go ahead and just do crisscross applesauce. Or if you're feeling, hey, this feels okay, we're just going to roll. So remember, for time we're really doing it big, where we're rolling on our bottom. This time we're using basically our waist, our hips, right? So we're pushing our heart out, side, back, like belly dancing, right? Side, front, and then just smooth it out. It's ooey, it's gooey, and we're just opening up everything. So it's a circular motion. You can maybe look at it like you're stirring a pot. Okay. So it could be as fast or as slow. Next time you come forward, inhale. As you exhale, go back around the other way. Balance, right? So here, can you really tuck in here? And as you come forward, really pull the shoulder blades together and lift your breast up to the sky. Inhale as you come forward. Exhale as you go back. One more time around. Inhale. Exhale. Just all the way back. This is seated cat-cow. This is the cow. Don't ask me why they think it looks like a cow. I cannot give you that answer. Cat, yeah, they round their back. Cow, I don't know. But just go with it. Last one. And open up that throat chakra and exhale to your scary cat. Come center, right? And then just take your feet, if this feels comfortable, hands, however, fingers away or back, just depending on your shoulders. And let's just rock out. Windshield wipe. Okay. We're going to come this way. We're going to take, and we're just going to, however this feels comfortable to you, I could take my foot and take it to the other side of my left foot on the other side of my right knee. I'm going to hold on with my right around my left, and I'm just going to, as I exhale, take a nice twist. Now the foot, press the heel, this part of your foot, the pad, into your mat, into the floor, into your rug. You could do this in jeans, just unbutton them. Inhale and slowly come back around. Let's switch. So this left is going to come down. Now you take whatever version is comfortable for you, whatever you're wearing. Right foot on the outside of my left knee. Make sure your bottom is securely planted. Plant the bottom of your foot. Right? So you might have to resituate yourself. Left around the right knee. Inhale, grow strong and big. Right? Exhale, twist. Now you're finding this twist, you're going to find some in the waist, right here, so that lumbar sacral area, but please concentrate the twist in your bra strap thoracic area, okay? Nice big inhale. And as you exhale, let it out with a nice ah. As you slowly come back around, take your legs out and shake it. So I'm just shaking my legs, shaking my hands, and then coming up onto all fours, right? And then we're going to push ourselves into a squat position. Now, this is optional, okay? If you're having a hard time squatting, hold on to a couch, a chair, or stay here. If one more move, if you want to meet me here, okay, is my feet were like this, my knees here. We could take the knees out, the arms are on the inside, right, of the knees. Now, when I do this on my toes, my heels come together. What does that look like? We have a couple openings. It emulates the vaginal or the yoni opening, same as you do here, right? Okay, so we're just doing this, and then we're going to come down. You could put a pillow, a bolster, anything if it's too far, and we're just finding a way to open up. And release. Come up to standing. Take your hips as far apart and your feet as far apart as you want, where it feels comfortable. Make a micro bend in the knee and allow the body to come down and sway. Feels good to take out. Make sure your feet are grounded, and you can take them far apart, right? If not, just really get in here, you know? And if it's that you are standing up here, then stand up here, right? Or just even if you just are up here. So whatever's comfortable, right? And kind of like your finger painting, right? On the ground, finger painting. What are you gonna make? Circle, flowers, clouds, right? And then slowly, right? We're going to kind of rebirth ourselves. So we've come down and we're in this tiny seed, and we're stirring, pulling in the belly to save the back, right? Take your hand. So we sway, 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 all the way up, right? So here we are. We're standing, we're still swaying and letting your arms move however they want to. Right? All the way up to the sky. I'm not sure you can see me, but my hands are above my head, and they're just swaying and playing as if I was tickling the clouds or tracing the rays of the sun. Right? And you can do like a backstroke, and this time just pedaling out like your feet, and maybe frontwards. Right? From here, we're gonna come, you can only see my half size, I think, but taking your feet where they're kind of hip width, whatever feels comfortable. Inhale all the hands all the way up, and this time we're doing that slight back bend and stepping our feet out. And this is going to be goddess arms. Let me make mine up higher. So we're going to inhale. As we step out, we're going to do that goddess arms again. This is our exhale. Inhale, step in. Exhale, step out. Now pull those shoulder blades together. Take the breath, pull them forward, right? So like you're pointing with your nipples. I don't care if your nipples are down here. Point with your nipples. Use that. Use that energy. Inhale. 2 more times. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale 1 more time on each side. Let's show your goddess. Right? Inhale, slide back. Exhale, goddess to the right. Inhale, slight back bend. Inhale, inhale, hold it. Hold it. Hold it deep, deep inside the body. All the way down to the yoni. And then allow that feeling the air to come up as you exhale. And then bowing your head. Down in reverence for being here, for being in your body, being present, mind and spirit as well. Thank you. There we go. So how was that?
It was beautiful. Thank you so much, Sunnie. I'd love to hear what your guys' experiences were in the chat as well. Thank you so much. Brooke said, "Thank you. I forgot to smile," like in the beginning there when you reminded us to smile. And as we wait for people to kind of type in their experiences with the yoga, did you want to go ahead and give 1 or 2 journaling questions for them to take home with them?
Yeah, so
I'll type them in too.
Okay. So I wanted to think about your experience here today, even if you're on the replay, right? So the journaling is, what does this bring up for you? That is like the most, did something stick with you? Was there an aha moment, an epiphany? Did it feel like you moved some energy around? It doesn't even have to be the energy. It could have been like a thought. Anything. There's no wrong answer, right? The right answer is only what you write down, right? So, there's that, okay? So, and I want to know what you thought about your cycle in reference to spring, right? And the Ostara and the meaning behind Ostara. And something that you are going to try to incorporate to bring back that maiden spirit, like that little girl. It doesn't have to be anything. It really doesn't. Just something that reconnects you. And so that would be like an intention or an affirmation, right? It could be that. So those are a few ideas of um, what to journal about, and, and to get your thoughts out of your head, through your body, out of your head, and onto paper. And then from there, you could go from there and do whatever you want with it. Burn it, frame it, color it.
Yeah.
You know, another thing to do too is to create a sacred feminine altar for yourself. You know, a little space that you can stand by, sit by, kneel by. That's just for you, that brings and emulates the different seasons, whether it's the different seasons out here in Mother Nature or within your own cycle.
Love that. Sarah said thank you. Sid said it was awesome. It was really grounding and energizing. I definitely want to incorporate these moves into my daily routine. I love that, Sid. And I've went ahead and I've typed in these questions. Feel free to answer any in the comments, guys, if you have any initial thoughts. Also, feel free to take a screenshot and take a little bit of time to sit with these questions and to journal around these questions. This could be a really nice spring activity as well. But here's what I have, Sunny. I had, what does this bring up for you? Kind of like the the yoga and kind of this whole workshop. What did you think about your cycle in reference to spring? How do you feel about the story of Ostara and Easter? And what would you like to do to bring back the spirit of spring?
Yeah. So if one resonates with you, I'll do. You know. Yeah. And I know we're getting close to our closing time, and so feel free to type anything in. I can't see them, but Sunny can. And and then later on, if you want to share, you know, a bigger picture, a broader picture of something after it might be developed, because sometimes our thoughts don't come to us right away, and we're like, wait, I wanted to say that, and I should have wrote it like that, and things like that. So, you know, always take time. Um, but I would love to hear like a closing thought. And a thought could just be one word. So it doesn't have to be this run on sentence. Just like, you know, like a one word that's grabbing to you right now from your experience with us today.
Like that. Like a word or a thought to close out.
Mm-hmm. So what is resonating? What comes up for you? What is that one word? Right?
I really liked reflecting on the childhood version of me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to choose one word, I would say reflection. I thought that that was a really cool part of this experience, is thinking about young me and what I like to do in the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's been a dark winter, and I just got off my winter cycle. So for me, I'm going to use the word, I'm going to hyphen it, okay? Because it's like two words, but kind of like one. New beginnings,
Yeah. I
right?
love that. Love that. Sarah says life. Maria says rainbows, and I think we still have a couple more people on here, so we'll wait just a couple seconds for you guys to put in your final thoughts, guys.
Oh, and while you guys are thinking of some thoughts, here's a couple other things for spring cleaning, because that's what usually we do, right? I mean, it's dusty, it's whatever. A really good ritual, and so to do in spring cleaning is that when it is a nice day or and stuff, is to open up all of your doors, your windows, and your closets and cupboards, right? And open them up. Just open everything up and then take a bell around. Like I have this little bell, you know, or I have an actual bell, right? This one's cute. It's a Tibetan bell. Um, and go around to every place you can. Even open up the toilet lid, open up the shower curtain, open up everything and ring in spring. And that sound will vibrate. You could use like the singing bowl, right? All over, everywhere, right? And that is a really neat ritual, just to kind of disperse that stagnant energy that has happened during the winter.
Beautiful. I love that. Sid said freedom and empowerment. And Brooke said spring cleaning. Definitely spring cleaning.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for being here with us. Thanks for sharing with us. Thanks for celebrating the coming of spring with us. I would love to see more. I would love to see like any rituals that you do. Take a picture, share it in the group, celebrate with us. You can just put it in the group or you can put it in the event. It doesn't really matter, but I would love to see it. I would love to share it. I will do the same as I bring on some of these like little rituals and little things to celebrate spring. I'd love to show them to you as well. So let's do that as a community. And thank you so much, Sunnie, for being here, sharing, you know, your love, your light, your wisdom with us, the yoga as well. You're just always such a joy. And actually, Sunny's been a member here in the group since pretty much since it was started. And so thank you for always sharing with the group and sharing your love within the group as well and sharing with us there.
I know we've had a long journey. Me and Sunny met, and we both lived in Valley of the Sun in Arizona, and that's where we our ties. And then we both dispersed to different areas. And I am in California. You're in Wyoming, right? Now,
I'm in
Wyoming.
Wyoming right now. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've known each other a while. It's kind of neat to know somebody with the same name. It's kind of unusual.
Yeah, especially when it's an unusual name like ours, right?
Yeah, I know, and it's so neat because we were talking about this the other day. So I'm Sunnie Shea, and you are.
Sunny Ray.
Sunny.
We even rhyme.
And
Okay,
we're
so
10 years apart, 69, 79, right?
yep. Yeah, Sid says, I love that. Brooke says, love it hanging wind chimes. I love that idea, Brooke. I love wind chimes. I think they're so beautiful. Thank you, Spring Goddesses. Sid says, thank you both so much. I learned so much today and I'm so pumped for spring. Me too, Sid. Brooke sent some flowers and there's a lot of hearts being pushed right now. So thank you guys all so much. Thank you, Sunnie. Please, like I said, share all of your spring happenings in the group. I would love to see them. And we do have a full moon event coming up on Friday night as well. So if you haven't checked that out, go to the event section of the group, check it out, sign up. This will be the last free event available. After that, you will either need to be a member or you'll need to pay to come to the full moon event. So this is the last free full moon event. I hope to see you all there. And I'll probably see most of you guys tomorrow morning at the meditation. Bye, Sunnie. Bye, everybody.
Bye.